my beauties and beasties out there. Welcome to Beauties and Beasts, the podcast for all things Beauty and the Beast. I'm your host, DF, and I am now recording from my brand new recording booth. Yes, it just came in the mail today. We set it up in my closet. Best part is that we can take it apart again and reassemble it, so even when I eventually move out from my parents' basement, I can take it with me. I just want to give an extra thank you to everyone who donated as patrons and in live streams and bought merchandise on Redbubble. I would not have done this without you guys, especially Anime Guy 1101 and TyrannosaurusVenom, my loyal patrons for over a year now. Thank you so much. So my next goal will be regarding my YouTube videos and getting some new equipment such as a new high-definition webcam, as if you've seen my YouTube channel, my current webcam sucks, and possibly get a green screen of some sort to make those reaction videos extra interesting, and maybe also have a little something extra next time I release a song cover. So if you're not a patron already, click the link in the description below if you're listening on YouTube, or click the green button in the right-hand corner of the screen if you're listening on Podbean. Just $1 a month will make all the difference. I need to move out of my parents' basement at some point, and now that I've got my own recording booth that I bought with my own money that I earned from here, I can record anywhere I want. Okay, maybe not like on the highway, but you get the picture. So, in regards to today's topic, we're going to see what happens when you cross Beauty and the Beast with Shakespeare romantic comedies and a whole album of 20th and 21st century pop rock music. Well, you get George Lucas's 2015 animated jukebox musical, Strange Magic, and strange is right. Admittedly, not the best movie ever, as it was a financial and commercial flop, though has gotten a little bit of a cult following. I myself, watching it the first time, found the structure to be all over the place, and this is someone who has a bachelor's in English with a minor in theater and has done script analysis, and some of the musicals kind of dragged out too much or were out of place. Like, seriously, why do you need the copyright to Lady Gaga's Bad Romance just for soldiers chanting that? Rama, Rama, ma. Honestly, you didn't really need that. So, why am I reviewing this movie, and why do I like it? Because of the unexpectedly endearing Beauty and the Beast plot that should have been introduced much earlier in the film, because I was so close to turning it off, if that part didn't happen. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
We all know it's a tale as old as time, 'cause we've heard it over and over again.
Before we get into the plot summary, keep in mind that the holiday season is upon us, and it's that time of year again for us to be giving back to the community in whatever way possible. My way, in the months of November and December, I'm going to be donating 10% of my podcast earnings to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, a nonprofit organization that grants the last wishes of children suffering from terminal illnesses. These children may not have that much time left on this planet, and they will need all the happiness they can get. And these earnings will be from patron pledges, Redbubble merchandise, and live stream donations. For a limited time for patrons, there's a Giving Grinch tier of $100 a month, and 50% of the first month's pledge will be donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And for the entire lifetime of your pledge, you will receive a monthly complimentary gift of your choice. But this patron tier is limited, so if you're interested, hurry and click that $100 a month button. As for live streams, there will be a live stream next week around Thanksgiving. I will decide the exact date and time once I have my work schedule. Keep in mind that it's the opening weekend for Frozen 2, so I'm going to be pretty busy at the movie theater. If you'd like to be notified ahead of time when this live stream will take place, download the Podbean app right now on your phone and follow this podcast. So when I do decide the date and time, you will be notified first. On Redbubble, I have some new merchandise available, and this holiday season, I wanted to promote love and tolerance amongst people of different races, religions, ethnicities, and cultures. And thus, I've created a new Christmas product with some politically correct humor based on the Irving Berlin song White Christmas, and also for you fans who do not celebrate Christmas and are tired of strangers walking up to you and saying Merry Christmas without even checking if you celebrate Christmas first. Honestly, if you don't know the person's religion, Happy Holidays is way more polite. I currently have some Happy Holidays products available specifically for Jews and Muslims, and I have some more to come. And you can get these designs on t-shirts, mugs, socks, pillows, notebooks, and much, much more. Very good for gift ideas. And yes, patrons of $15 a month or more can choose from these designs for complimentary gifts. And patrons of $5 a month or more can choose one of these designs for their complimentary sticker. Alright, so the movie Strange Magic opens up with a really exposition-heavy prologue about a fairy kingdom and a dark forest next to each other, and the dark forest is ruled by the Bog King, voiced by Alan Cumming, aka Floop from Spy Kids, who had banned love from his kingdom, specifically a love potion made from primrose petals that could be brewed by the Sugar Plum Fairy, voiced by Kristen Chenoweth. This is a very star-studded cast, by the way. The Bog King, for reasons not explained yet, locked up the Sugar Plum Fairy and ordered that primroses be destroyed in the dark forest so that the love potion could never be made and that love was completely forbidden. Sounds like a real stick in the mud, huh? Seriously, this is like the biggest info dump ever. This English major's just cringing about how this information all came in such a short amount of time. George Lucas, the Star Wars text would have been better. After this disappointing prologue, we get to our heroine, singing Elvis. Can't help falling in love with you. Oh boy, I had this song in my head for weeks after first watching this movie. Fairy Princess Marianne is about to get married to handsome soldier Roland. But on the day of their wedding, she catches him kissing another fairy. Honestly, who would be stupid enough to cheat on their fiancé on the day of their wedding? If you're gonna cheat, be smarter about it. Forget that part, don't cheat. And what about the girl? Surely she knew that he was marrying the princess that very day. I'm questioning that girl's decisions too. We never really get her side of the story, do we? Heartbroken Marianne swears never to fall in love again and starts training herself to fight as a way to take out her anger, and turns from a love-struck, stereotypical heroine to a totally badass, I would totally get behind her heroine. Some time passes, cut to Marianne's younger sister Dawn, who is all about romance in contrast to her sister. In fact, she has a new crush every other hour. Her best friend Sunny, an elf, aka Seaweed from Hairspray, tries to set her up with whatever crush she has at the moment, even though clearly he is in love with her. At a ball at the Fairy King's palace, Roland tries to win back Marianne with the Four Seasons, only for Marianne to slam him with Kelly Clarkson. As cringy as the story was so far, that was a pretty badass moment. Outside of the ballroom, Roland meets up with Sunny, sees that the elf is in love with Dawn, and convinces him to go to the dark forest so that he can get the love potion from the Sugar Plum Fairy, which they can use to win their respective princesses. So, Sunny sneaks into the forest, gets a primrose petal, sneaks into the Bog King's castle, and convinces the Sugar Plum Fairy to make the love potion. All the while, Bog King is getting hounded down by his mother Griselda to settle down with a bug lady, just because she doesn't want him dying sad and alone. But he's annoyed. I get it, dude. I don't like being pressured to date either. The Sugar Plum Fairy makes the love potion and warns Sunny of an imp who likes to spray the potion everywhere he goes, not caring about the consequences. The Bog King soon discovers that the Sugar Plum Fairy had made the potion and goes after Sunny, and so he and his goblin minions crash a hoedown the fairies are having, and so is that imp that the Sugar Plum Fairy mentioned. During this rumble, the love potion is accidentally sprayed on Dawn, just as the goblins throw her into a bag, and the imp snatches off the love potion and runs off into the dark forest. Then the Bog King comes in all scary and punk rocky and demands that the love potion be brought to him by Moondown or Marianne will never see her sister again. And Marianne surprises him with a punch to the face. But that's not enough to stop him from getting away with her sister. So Marianne, taking her sword, goes in to save her sister while Roland gets an army from the king, thinking that this will get him in the king's good graces and get him to marry Marianne while also retrieving the love potion. Sunny also goes into the dark forest with another elf to go and catch the imp and the love potion. So later, at the Bog King's castle, Dawn is let out of the sack, and because of the potion, she falls in love with the first person she sees, the Bog King. Annoying everyone with their sugar pie honey bunch, you know that I love you! Yeah, that is very annoying. His mom's excited, but Bog won't have it, and locks Dawn up where hopefully he can't hear her singing. Doesn't work though, cause she's a very loud singer. Meanwhile, the mischievous little imp has been love-dusting random creatures left and right, and the Bog King orders that they all be locked up. Then Marianne, with a war cry, breaks into the castle and starts battling the king, engaging in a flirty fight to the death. Yeah, you heard me right. This was the moment that got me into the movie. Kinda weird that the main couple doesn't interact until halfway in. Seriously, George Lucas, what is with you and underdeveloped romances? I mean, come on. Leia and Han Solo, Padme and Anakin, and, whatever the names were in the new trilogy, yeah, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. So, Bog and Marianne fight until they are completely exhausted, kind of ending the fight in a draw. Bog shows Marianne the potion problem, all the love-struck creatures singing in their cages, and Dawn being the craziest of them all. Marianne demands that the Bog King make an antidote, and they get the Sugar Plum Fairy to tell them. And while they're waiting on the Sugar Plum Fairy's answer, Griselda tries to set her son up with Marianne, seeing how they connected over the fight, and has a whole lovey-dovey dinner prepared for them. And they surprisingly bond over how much they hate it all. Ain't that sweet? Meanwhile, in the Dark Forest, Sunny catches the imp and meets up with Roland and his army. And Roland blames Sunny for all of this and outs his love for Dawn, and takes no responsibility of the situation himself. And Sunny is like, well, yeah, I was going to use it, but that doesn't matter now, cause Dawn is in trouble, and I love her, and we gotta go save her. Back at the castle, the Sugar Plum Fairy says that the antidote is the one thing more powerful than the potion. And she explains this by telling the story of why Bog banished love, despite the Bog King's protests. So once upon a time, Bog was so in love with a frog-like creature, who was the most beautiful creature in the world to him, and demanded that the Sugar Plum Fairy make the love potion, but when he dusted her eyes, she screamed at the sight of him, and his heart was broken. The Bog King says, "Even with that potion, I'm too hideous to love." But the Sugar Plum Fairy explains that that's not why it didn't work. She had already been in love with someone else. So the only thing that could overcome the potion was real love. And Marianne is upset by this because Dawn has never really loved anyone in her life. And the Bog King is contemplating this on how he should have never used that potion because none of it would have been real. And then Marianne, feeling sorry for him, opens up about Roland and how she had almost married a guy who didn't love her. That she had been too blinded by his looks and the idea of love to see that he was a complete jerk. And that he had held her back from her dreams to lead and protect her kingdom. The Bog King says, "But you're different, and I like that." Feeling comfortable and awkward, Marianne suggests that they go and stretch their wings. And he takes her out into the dark forest, showing that even though it can be scary, there's some beauty in it. And both of them are feeling a strange magic. Okay, as weird as this movie is, I can't help but fall in love with this couple. Oh boy, I did not mean to make an Elvis pun. So just as Bog is giving Marianne a flower, he sees Roland and his army come to the castle and thinks that Marianne has betrayed him and that she had only called him out here so that she could distract him. So after a big fight and a whole lot of misunderstandings, Bog sees that Roland is trying to spray Marianne with the potion and tries to stop him. Weapons are fired, the castle comes crumbling down. Bog tosses Marianne and Dawn to safety at the last minute just as the castle falls into the ditch, taking him along with it. Everyone thinks he is dead. Dawn is crying, and Sunny holds her and comforts her, and it is then that she realizes that she's loved him all along and the love spell is lifted. And then Bog flies out of the ditch, and all cheer, including the Fairy King who has just arrived. But Roland also survived, and he sprays Marianne with the love potion. And she goes all, "Sugar pie, honey, punch in the face," sending Roland off a cliff with the potion all over him, and he falls in love with an insect. You go, girl. And Sugar Plum's like, "Oh, the potion didn't work. I wonder why." So after some encouraging singing from Dawn and Griselda, Bog and Marianne confess their feelings for each other, and the movie ends in a weird psychedelic moment, which I get what they were going for. A kaleidoscope is a group of butterflies, but that was still kind of a weird way to end it. Okay, so this movie isn't perfect. And saying it out loud, the plot is a bit contrived. Maybe if they had cut the song time a little bit, we would have gotten into the main romantic plot a lot faster. But I appreciate what George Lucas was trying to do with this film. His intention was to show the difference between love and physical attraction, and that what matters in a relationship is having something in common. If you've read Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, you can find similarities to the characters' situations. If you think of Marianne as Beatrice, and Bog as Benedict, and Dawn as Hero, and Sunny as Claudio. Also a bit of Taming of the Shrew in there, and kind of Midsummer Night's Dream with the love potion and the fairies. So let's break these couples down. Bog and Marianne originally fell in love with attractive people. Well, people who were attractive in their eyes. But when their love bubbles are burst, they both harden their hearts and are disgusted by the idea of ever falling in love again. Bog took it to more extremes. He thought it was all his looks, and he refused to let anybody else experience that joy of love. If he couldn't be happy, nobody could be happy. Marianne, she had actually gained confidence from the heartbreak. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, am I right, Kelly Clarkson? But she wasn't ready to trust anyone new with her heart. So rather than blaming herself, she blamed Roland, as she should, and also blamed others who might end up like him. And it was their mutual hatred for love that caused them to fall in love. Ironic, I know. Also their appreciation for each other's fighting skills and personalities. And you gotta love how the character set up to be the bad guy ends up being just a lonely, heartbroken soul who secretly cares. I will admit, the whole "I won't let you die sad and alone" spiel from the parents was getting annoying, but I guess the point that it was trying to make with that is that you can't let others tell you to fall in love. It has to be on your own terms. Dating is great, but you gotta give it time. You can't force it. Let's also look at the relationship with Sunny and Dawn. Like her sister, Dawn wasn't ready to fall in love. She was in love with the idea of love, and thus went to every pretty little face she saw. Sunny may have resorted to the love potion, but in the end he realized all he had to do was be there for his best friend, at her best and at her worst. We don't see them as much as Bog and Marianne, but they had a pre-established foundation to their relationship. And they were best friends first, and that's where a lot of the best relationships come from. Not every relationship you have to start out as friends, but when you do have a friendship before the romance, you already have something to build upon. And despite the music being a little much at times, you can see the characters' personalities and relationships in their song styles. Dawn and Sunny, you've got upbeat, harmonizing reggae music, showing how they are both optimistic people and that they work well together. And when Marianne and Roland are together, they're singing that sweet Elvis music, and they are harmonizing at first, but in that opening number, Marianne is doing most of the singing, which shows that she cares more about the relationship than he does. And in contrast with the Come On Marianne / Stronger duet, he is singing that 60s rock and she is singing that modern feminist pop. Shows that they are no longer on the same page. And Marianne and Bog alone have a punk rock type music that soon becomes soft rock when they start warming up to each other, and then to punk rock again once they've completely fallen in love, only now they are doing that punk rock together. Yeah, I can understand Lucas's deliberate choices in songs. Alright, so next episode, which will be on December 5th, earlier for patrons, we will take a look at some of the relationships in the Disney TV series that just ended this year, Star vs. the Forces of Evil. There's a lot to talk about in that show, not just with the Star and Marco relationship. Support my podcast, help me get a new webcam and green screen by becoming a patron today. Follow the podcast on the Podbean app, and tune into the live stream next week. Bring your credit card if you want me to do some voice requests. I will only do voice requests if you donate. And remember that a portion of these donations will go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And check out the new merchandise on Redbubble. 'Tis the season to be giving. Until next time, remember that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Anyone can fall in love unless they're aromantic. And love potions are never a good idea. Seriously, never a good idea.